Welcome back to TMI with Terrell and Martha. We are so happy to have you here today. We want you, if you're watching us on YouTube, to please like and subscribe. We are so excited about that too. We're making leaps and bounds in all of these topics that we are bringing to you, and we look forward to it. Terrell, we got an exciting day today.
Yes, I'm so excited, Martha, for all of us to be able to introduce Emily here. I know Dr. Emily. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her because she wrote it down for me, but I've known her. I've known Dr. Emily for quite some time now. She's been working with our family company, Energetix, for 6 years.
A little over 6 years, yeah.
Yes. And the funny part about that, which I didn't even remember, which I was the one that communicated with her first through the spa. And I didn't even remember it until my husband reminded me that the reason they have Emily is because I sent her to them. So 6 years ago, I found an email in my email inbox where we had communicated. So I love that you came in through the spa because, you know, we have always been looking for trained naturopaths. And I'll tell you a little bit about Dr. Emily. She earned her doctorate of naturopathic medicine degree from Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington. This is one of the top universities, if not in this country, in the world, that educates and produces amazing naturopathic doctors. She is married and a mother of 3 children. So, wow, she's got a lot of work she's doing. And again, she's worked with the company for 6 years. So, Emily, I'll let you take it from there and tell a little bit more about kind of who you are and what you're doing right now. And then we're going to talk a little bit about natural methods and natural ways to support the immune system. It is summer cold time.
That's the truth. I'm here with it.
Yeah. And it's back to school time where all the kids are going back to school. My granddaughter's got a runny nose. She's in pre-K4 for the first time. So yeah, they're spreading the love.
They really do. Yeah. So I'm Dr. Emily Hartsfield. I am a naturopathic physician. I did graduate from Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington. And I have been with Energetix since I graduated.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, we were talking before I officially graduated. We moved back home to Georgia from Seattle literally the day after I walked and got my diploma. And about a week or two later, I was here at Energetix and, or not here, but at Energetix. And I've been with them ever since. And I help with their practitioner support, doing trainings and meetings with practitioners, educating them on our product line. And yeah, that's.
Do you have anything to do with the formulations? How does that work? Do you kind of oversee quality or do you
so a little bit of everything, I guess, a little bit of both. So I do help with our product formulations and help with product development, as well as I am on our product quality team. So, you know, if anything's going on or if we need an expert, quote unquote, then usually I'm the one that they call in to kind of investigate things with them. So I got a kind of hand in a little bit of everything, which is wonderful because I feel like I can be such a part of everything within the company. So
that's amazing.
So tell us what a naturopathic doctor is. Did I get that right?
Naturopathic doctor.
Yeah,
good.
So I am, I graduated, as you mentioned, from Bastyr, which is one of the few federally accredited medical colleges in the country that does produce naturopathic physicians. So our education parallels that of MDs. And so we are medically trained, but from a more holistic perspective. So while we still get education on pharmaceuticals and we can, you know, for those of us who
take anatomy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
All of the anatomy, all of the gross anatomy, did it all. We, you know, have 4 years of nutrition training and 4 years of botanical training and training and education in homeopathy. And so our perspective is largely treating not only, you know, different chronic diseases that patients come in with, but also, you know, a big thing is prevention and how to prevent these things from occurring, but naturally. And while we're still can do everything, you know, prescriptively, I personally choose to lean as natural as humanly possible.
Well, and I think too, I mean, that's kind of where prescription started, right? I mean,
Yes,
pharmaceuticals started with
absolutely.
natural things,
Yeah.
and many of the prescriptions you get at the drugstore
Mhm.
start out as some kind of
Absolutely.
elixir of something, you know? And so I think that it's important to be able to do those kinds of things, not necessarily first, but it's also important to know kind of where the line is. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there's a amount you can do um in with one method, but you also have to have the training to know when it is to turn
Pass
it
the
over to a
ball.
hospital. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. And I
Yeah.
definitely think there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, they're
for
all
sure.
needed.
And that's also one thing that we were taught. It's like there's a time and a place to bring on that prescription 100%. You know, and if we can do it naturally, if we can start there, great. But you also have to communicate with patients that, hey, there is a time and a place. And if we get to that time and place, we're gonna have to have a frank discussion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've been through this big health journey in the last 5 years
Yes, you
where
have.
I had a pneumonic effusion, which was something I was hospitalized for
Mhm.
and was very, very sick. And since then, I have, kind of just remade myself. I mean, I feel better. I'll be 66 on August 23rd, or I was 66 on August 23rd, and I, feel as good as I did when I was 45, probably better than I did when I was 45. And it's a combination. I do still take medications, but I don't take as many as I did.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. So that's been my goal to get down. I don't want to be one of those old people that has like 15
Big
pills they
baggie
take.
full of
Yeah. I just don't want to be.
the large Ziploc bag.
I just don't want to be that person. Now, I'm not saying if a doctor said to me, hey,
you need
you've
this.
got this issue, this is what's going
Mhm.
to cure this issue, then I'll take it. I'm not saying I'd say no to everything, but I felt like so much of what I was doing was lifestyle related and it wasn't healthy for me in the long run. And so I've been on this journey, and it was funny. I've told this story before, but it's so funny because I was going to this normal convenience store that I stopped at to get gas on a regular basis. And I walked in, and the nice lady, and she really did mean this in the nicest way. Okay.
That's
But
gummy.
she goes, you used to be fat.
She wasn't from this
my.
country, was she? 'Cause
No,
that
she
is
wasn't.
normal
She
in other
wasn't.
countries
But-
just to say those things.
Yes,
Yeah.
but she didn't mean it mean
No,
at
no,
all.
not at all.
It was totally a
It's just
compliment.
general.
And I took it that way. You know what I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
as I always do, I went and wrote a column about it. And so you can get that at marthazoller.com. But
I love
it is a journey, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's important that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still take control of your
It's
life.
never too late.
Yep.
Ever. And it is absolutely a journey. And I think that's the biggest key for people to understand is that if you make these changes overnight, you're way less likely to stick with those changes. And to implement these changes over time is really the best way to go about doing it. You're more likely to stick with it. And it just becomes more of a lifestyle rather than
Right.
something that you're having to do.
Well, in fitness, which was my background,
Mhm.
it is my background. I'm not actually training anybody. I really want to again. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not, but with what time, I don't know. But with fitness, it becomes, we look at a 3-month program because,
Mhm.
they always say it takes 3 months to change a habit of consistency and the same patterns of repetition in certain things. And then once you get past those 3 months, you've generally got a little bit of a habit forming that will keep you moving in the right direction, right? So when I would take clients on, I would have them agree to train with me for a minimum of 3 months. If after that time, either one of us believed it wasn't a good fit or it just wasn't something they wanted to do or it wasn't working for me as a trainer, then I would say after that, no more. But I think 3 months to make a lifestyle change
Mhm.
is the minimum to really doing the things that you did. You stuck with it. You had to have been really consistent to get to the glorious self that you are right now,
Well, and
because you are
it's so-
very youthful and
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Terrell did train me for a while.
I did.
And as she knows,
Mhm.
I do not like to sweat. Okay. So I admit
it's
that
a thing.
I'm not a girl
It's
that likes
not
to
just
sweat.
Martha.
As I don't like to sweat. And so what I've done is I've, instead of like beating myself up for, I didn't do 10,000 steps or I didn't do this or that, I made a couple of changes where I have a
Mhm.
rowing machine in my office. So every time I think about it, I do 5 or 10 minutes on the rowing machine. I park as far away as I can, anywhere that I can,
Mm-hmm.
so that I get those extra steps in there. I just try to incorporate into my life because I'm not going to be that girl that goes to the gym for an hour and a half.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, not going to be
No,
her.
I get it.
Okay. And I'm not saying it's wrong if that you are.
Right.
Do you know what? I'm just saying for me.
I'm not even that girl anymore.
Yeah.
You know, girl, if I can't get it done in half an hour, it's not happening.
Yes, absolutely. So
No.
that's kind of
Yeah.
what I do there.
Mhm.
So the wellness thing, I think, we're so drawn to it because of this like trauma we went through related to COVID.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where the issues that you can be really helpful in, like immune support and the other kinds of things that are happening. So tell us a little bit about how your life has changed and how you approach your practice. And I know you're not in practice per se, but how
How
you
do you
approach
help?
how
Yeah.
you help
Yeah.
people since COVID.
Oh, since COVID, everything has changed.
Everything has changed.
Everything has changed. It really is a new game. And I graduated right before COVID. So my perspective of what the industry was like beforehand was a little clouded only because I was in clinical rotations, which is always kind of like different than the real
It's
world.
clinical.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's
And there's
clinical.
a reason
rotations.
why it's clinical rotations. And so having graduated and, started with Energetix and, talking to practitioners, their personal experience has also changed significantly. And I've talked to hundreds, not thousands
And
of
you work with
practitioners.
anybody from a medical doctor who's opened an
Mhm.
account, bringing in a natural remedy line, to an acupuncturist or a chiropractor
Mhm.
or even,
Just kind of lay naturopaths.
internal medicine. Yeah.
And you
Mhm.
have to communicate all within that. I think from a
Yes.
patient perspective, I don't know if you've ever encountered this. You don't want to be totally honest with your doctor that you're doing some of these things,
No.
but you have to be, okay? The
Yes.
only way
Mhm.
a doctor or you can help someone, you're also a doctor, but I mean, the only way you can help someone is if you know the whole
You
picture.
have to have
You have to
all
have
the
the picture.
all the
information.
That's right.
information.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
see that? Do you see that
Oh, yeah.
sometimes?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
There's been instances where, you're talking to a patient and they're like, well, I didn't tell you this last time. And you're like, okay, well, what is it?
Yes.
And I talk to practitioners all the time. They'll call me and be like, hey, here's my question, da, 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 da. And then they'll call you back like a week later and be like, well, I was talking to this patient. They didn't tell me this. And now they did. And, changed everything. Like, now what do you recommend? And I'm
Yes.
like,
Right.
okay. Because a lot of what I do is, consulting with other practitioners and
Right.
teaching them, how to utilize
How to
natural
apply.
products and how to apply that with their patients. And so really I work with, if you think about it, not just, a small patient group as if I were out in patient, practice myself, but a very large patient base because of
Mhm.
that. And yeah, everything has changed post-COVID. I think patients are more reluctant to see more kind of mainstream medical, practitioners, medical doctors, and are leaning a lot more into natural health care because of it. And so it's really kind of blown open, if you will, the natural health space and what patients are looking for, and also just their own education
Right.
level as well, where they are more educated in their own right.
Google.
And Google, Dr. Google.
Chat GPT.
ChatGPT. Yeah. So, they're not always your friend.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
I was told never to go to
Inquiring
Dr.
minds
Google.
want to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this with your own husband, but Dr. Google is not your friend.
No.
I admittedly have self-diagnosed my own appendicitis using Google. I did. And my dad was like, you're fine. And I'm like, I'm really not.
Yeah.
And I did have appendicitis. But by and large, I try and avoid using it. I
Right.
don't recommend people use Dr. Google, as I like to call it, just because it only gives you half the information. You really need to be
It's more
speaking with a
specific.
practitioner who knows what they're doing.
And the reason why they use the term practitioner is
Mhm.
because people are different.
Yeah.
And while you may have 80% of the people that fall into a certain category, 20% don't.
Right.
And that's why it's so important that you have a primary care doctor, a regular doctor that
Right.
you see.
Mhm.
I think it's really, really important. And, it's just funny that you said you diagnosed yourself because it's so funny when you look at what Google is going to do to you.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. But my niece had a baby recently. It was a blessing because they didn't think they could have children. And when I went to visit the first time, her husband, who's going to be the stay-at-home dad, because she's got a pretty good job, and he was giving me all these stats of all this, that. And I said, where did you get that? And he goes, I've been watching YouTube videos. And I was like, stop doing that.
Awesome.
Ask the friends and neighbors that you have, the older people in your life, your pediatrician. I said, don't get down that rabbit hole of trying to compare your baby to a bunch of statistics.
Oh, yeah. I have 3 kids, and every single one of my kids is, I wouldn't say vastly different, but they are all different. And, even with what one kid does is very different than what another kid is going to end up doing or being like. They were all different as babies.
Right.
And so you really can't, rely on Google or YouTube.
Not a bad place to
But
start.
It's not a bad place.
That's the first thing when Savannah, the story behind Savannah, my daughter Savannah. So when she was diagnosed with leukemia, the first thing her oncologist said, first of all, was that she was the healthiest sick child he had ever seen. And that is because we practiced natural health care. Yes, I believe in medicine and having medical provision, but when you're looking to stay well, then you have responsibility. And that's when you use supplemental medicine, right? Where you use supplemental herbs or supplemental vitamins and you stay well, right?
Yes.
But when you have an acute situation, that's when a lot of times, based on how fast these remedies work, you sometimes do need, depending on how serious your symptoms are, a dose of antibiotics or whatever. But she walked in this hospital and he said, she is the healthiest sick person I'd ever met. And we had practiced that. Even my grandbabies know how to lift their tongue for homeopathics when they come to me. They're 4. They're like little
baby birds.
And they lift their tongue up because they know I'm getting ready to give them some Calm 5, right? Because
yeah, got to calm things down here, guys.
Bring it down a notch. But they really like the taste of it as well. But I think it's important, the medical doctors that I am close to here in this community are so grateful for the fact that we have a natural pharmacy and are very much into it because of how it's making the change in their patients. And the patients are taking more personal responsibility because you can't just take natural remedies without changing your lifestyle. You will not get a result. You can take some pharmaceutical drugs, not change a lick about your lifestyle and get a result, right? But you're getting a symptom abatement, but you're not necessarily fixing the problem.
Yeah.
Whereas with natural medicine and nutritional remedies like Energetix carries, you would be having to make the lifestyle changes along with it to see long-lasting, credible results. That's my opinion. But
so, Dr. Emily, talk about a little bit about the immune boosting and the kinds of things you can do on a day-to-day basis. And then we'll talk a little bit about kind of the summer cold situation that a lot of people are dealing with now that school started again.
Yeah. So when we talk about immune boosting, it's not necessarily that, we're creating a force field around you and you're just, not going to get
Not
sick.
like the commercial? Oh
It's
my
really
gosh,
not.
okay.
It's really not. It's about setting a healthy foundation preventatively to make you less likely to get sick when you encounter, a cold
the pathogens,
or virus,
the
pathogens. Yes. So it's about, giving those vitamins, those minerals, those nutrients your body needs every day to function so that when it really needs that well to pull from, it has it available.
Right.
And so that's what is really meant by immune boosting because, you don't want to boost your immune system too much. Otherwise, that's never a good thing. But you also can't pull from an empty well.
That's right.
Either.
Right.
So it's really
makes
about
sense.
laying
I
that
like
healthy
that.
foundation preventatively so that you're prepared.
And then what about what a lot of people are going through right now, which is kids have gone back to school, you've gone back to work, whatever your situation is, and, you've got that runny nose. What do you do?
So this is something I'm all too familiar with. My kids went back to school a few weeks ago. And a couple of them did come home with a summer cold. And, they go back to school and they're just exposed to so much more germs than what they're going to be exposed to normally day to day during the summer. And so it's just kind of an open breeding ground, right? And they're, inside more, they're in school more. So they're just, everything is just being shared. So some things that I like to do first and foremost, of course, when my kids come home is I make them wash their hands.
Yeah.
It's
Smart.
the first thing. Once it starts getting a little cooler, I do like to open up the windows, let in some fresh air. Because when we're indoors and we're sharing, the air just kind of gets stagnant. So I like to let in some fresh air. Beyond that, vitamin C, I know it's like some of these age-old remedies really are.
They do work.
They're really
They're
are age-old remedy
reason.
for a reason. Vitamin C, it does actually help the maturation of your immune cells so that they can function more effectively. It also can help decrease inflammation so that your body is more responsive and able to, mount an effective immune response. Things like elderberry are great to have on hand. My kids love elderberry. And so
should you take it every day?
You could take it every day, especially during cold and flu season.
Okay.
That's never a bad
We
thing.
have some.
Yeah.
That's never a bad thing. I take vitamin C every day. And then if I start feeling like I'm coming under the weather, I may pop one or two extra.
Well, I take elderberry just about every day, and I like the gummies. That's what I do. But I also, when I start to feel kind of under the weather, I get one of those I'm not going to say a brand name, but the C and E drink.
Yes. Yeah.
And
the
you
fizzy
just mix
drink.
it up. Yeah, you mix it up with your water, because I drink a lot of water, and then I make sure I get 2 or 3 of those. When I went on my trip to England this
Take
summer,
the packets
I
with
did
you.
not want to be sick while I was there. And when you've been on an airplane for 9 hours, sometimes that can happen. So I just had it there, and I drank a couple of them every day while I was gone, and it was great.
Yeah. Highly recommend that. That's excellent. Yeah, there's just some things like that you can do, preventatively. You can take them every day. You can, when you start feeling unwell, you can take a couple extra. Doing that for a few days is definitely not going to cause any harm, in my opinion. I think too much of things can be a bad thing. It's definitely about balance, though.
Well, tell me about the benefit. A lot of people don't realize the swath of benefits that go along with vitamin D3, K2 combos.
Yeah. So
I'm just going to throw that out there because I see people all the time that have no idea how helpful it is to take D3, K2.
Well, and it's the big thing that now, and you may think I'm wrong about this, and if you are, please chime up. We are staying inside so much that, and we're slathering ourselves up with sunscreen. I'm not saying I want skin cancer. I'm not saying that, but we are not getting the natural vitamin D that we used to get because we're avoiding the sun. And there's got to be a balance there too. That's just me.
Oh yeah. No, I have a whole soapbox on that we won't get into today. But I wholeheartedly agree. We need to stop being what I call sunphobic. Sun is not a bad thing, as long as you're being, again, mindful about how long you're sitting out in it. When we go to Florida, I still use sunscreen. I do like mineral sunscreens, because being out in the sun for 8 hours in the Florida sun that's
a hard sun to be in.
I have family in Florida, and they always joke because they're like, Florida sun is different.
It is.
It is. And we're in Georgia, so we're not that far, north, all things considered, but it really is different. So, but I go outside for an hour or two, 30 minutes. And I'm not going to wear sunscreen out, put it on my kids.
And it feels so good, when you do it.
Yeah.
You can tell that it feels great.
Everything is great in moderation.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes.
But yes, vitamin D is integral for immune health, but also hormone health.
Thank you.
You have to, this is a vitamin.
It's actually a hormone, isn't it?
It is. Vitamin D is a hormone. And we do produce it naturally as a response to the sun. So, we need to stop being so sunphobic. But during the winter months, when we are inside more, we're not getting as much sun exposure. Vitamin D is something that, I do feel is necessary. I've actually started incorporating more of it into my daily routine. And I do use a K2 blend. Right. And so the K2 helps with absorption of calcium. Right. And so it can help what I call be the traffic controller for these other minerals to be laid down in a healthy way within the body and be deposited where they need
that's
to go.
good for heart health. I know that, when I discovered I had the veins of a 78-year-old, that's took quite a hit on that when they told me that. I was like, what? But apparently I have a lot of soft plaque buildup in my carotid arteries, and a higher dose of vitamin K and my D3 and of course some niacin were all a part of the protocol for that. And, whereas you're a naturopathic doctors, NDs, and functional medicine doctors are two different animals as far as their training goes. But I know with NDs, you've got such such a huge berth when it comes to nutrition. That is where most of my medical friends have said they really felt failed by by medical education, and having maybe 2 weeks of nutrition education.
If any, most actually don't have that.
And maybe not. Right. And they get out of there with their MDs, and then you have this mass of basically lifestyle related diseases, the insulin.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Diabetes.
I mean, Lynn
type
has said,
1,
my
2,
husband Lynn has said
or
many
type
times
2.
if people stopped, drinking, smoking, and started eating right, he would have nothing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, it would be just that way. But you mentioned absorption, which I think is really important, because there's a lot of literature out there that is conflicting about whether taking vitamins actually helps you or not because of how they absorb versus getting it in your food.
Yes.
Do you line up one way or another with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yes and no. So yes,
No
because
easy answer, folks.
there is no easy answer. I think it all comes down to the form that you're taking. I think if you're going to Kroger and buying whatever it is off the shelf, may not be absorbed as well.
Right.
If you are taking
Pharmaceutical grade,
practitioner grade, vitamins and minerals that are made to be bioavailable, where they are basically in a similar form that we would get from food, your body is going to absorb those more readily than, anything else. So it's going to be absorbed the same way.
Right. Okay.
So it's all about the form.
And, I've heard a lot of medical doctor friends say, for a long time, I thought that vitamins were just expensive urine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That, we're just going to take these vitamins and our body's just going to send it right out. But most of them have changed their mind at this stage. And that's the good news. I am hearing more and more that we have medical doctors now opening up accounts with our company to have some pharmaceutical or practitioner grade remedies available in their practice so that they can start helping their patients walk a preventative line and still have this. They can benefit from having it right there in their practice. And should they slip off the edge and something gets them, right, then they're right there to help them with the
I'm still interested in this question, though, of getting it from your diet versus, because I take vitamin supplements. Okay. I take a whole range of them every day. But I tend to think it's got to be better if you eat right.
Sure.
Okay.
Whole food.
And what we're seeing is the whole change in this country over the last 12 months about people actually talking about what's in their food versus what's not. And I heard a story on a news story saying, if you've got something on your shelf that you've had for a year and it hasn't changed, you should throw it away because that's not the right thing. And then of course there's the just shop around the edges of the grocery store, and then you'll be, you'll be better off in that way. Buying smaller amounts, the whole clubhouse buying. Yeah, I guess if you got a bunch of kids like I did, that I always ran out of food.
Right.
Nothing ever went bad in my house.
And you had boys too, and they eat a lot.
Nothing ever went bad in my house. But now that it's just my husband and I've had to learn how to buy 2 pieces of fruit or 2 pieces of 3 or 4 different kinds of fruit.
It does go bad
so
fast when you've got
it doesn't go bad.
That's right. So it doesn't go bad.
Well, I think the big thing here is that you can't outpill a bad diet.
That's right.
So you have to still be eating healthy, but a lot of our fruits and vegetables are actually nutrient poor because of the soils that they're being grown
I'm so
in.
glad you said
And
that. I was getting ready.
The way they pick
The
them.
way
too.
they
I was
pick 'em.
gonna say that because a lot has changed.
Yeah,
in
a lot
our
has
planet.
changed. When they don't pick at full ripeness because they're picking them early so that they can sit on a shelf for longer periods of time, they're not going to have as many fruits or as many vitamins and minerals in them.
Right.
But also when the soils are depleted, where do you think the the vitamins and minerals are coming from? They're
Right.
coming from the soil.
soil.
And so if the soils are nutrient poor because of over farming practices, then your food is also going to be depleted, and then
Right.
you're going to be depleted. So you can eat as many as you want, which is great, and you should be. But at the same time, there are still people out there that are deficient in certain vitamins and minerals. And again, vitamin D is an example.
If they eat, you couldn't eat enough
Right.
food to get the level
that you need
of support that they're needing. Or not everybody needs to do that, but most people do need supplemental support now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Because it's just the way of the world. But
Mhm.
we'll have some organic farmers on with us here soon. And they actually are doing really cool processes as far as using other animals to till the soil. And they've got this whole rotational
Yeah.
Well, the way they used to
process.
do it.
Yeah,
Old
regenerative
school.
farming.
Call it
Yeah.
organic farming.
Organic
but it's
farming.
not that. It's just old school farming, the
school
way they used to do it.
Yeah, regenerative
Regenerative.
farming is, I think the next wave of beyond organic
Mhm.
farming practices, and it really does go back to how things have always been done and should be
Yes.
done. And
There's a funny story about, so the Amish people
Mhm.
have been farming forever and they don't change how they do things. And one of the reasons why, not to get political, but one of the reasons why they ended up voting the way they did in the last election was they got educated about the fact that the federal government was trying to come in and have them be certified as organic farmers. And they were like, wait a minute, we don't change the way we do
Mhm.
things.
Right.
Why do we have to get involved with the government program? We don't like that.
Right.
Okay, we're doing what we do. We've been doing it this way for hundreds of years.
Right.
Mhm.
Why do
And
we have to
so
do that?
That's
Yeah.
right. So it motivated them
Mm-hmm.
to vote in this election.
Right.
Because they were like, wait a minute, I don't want someone getting in the middle
There
of what I've
were
been doing for the
so
last 200 years.
Many things that needed to change in that arena
Yes.
too.
Yes.
That were, as soon as someone said, I'm going to help you get the chemicals out of the kids' food, and
Yeah.
that's where
Who
people are
would be
starting like,
opposed to that? Who would be
yeah,
opposed
it's
to that?
hard to not want to have that happen. And nobody's
Mhm.
talked about that much up until now.
And
Yeah.
folks, don't worry about ugly fruits and vegetables, okay?
No,
Because
that's true.
if you go to a farmer's market and the stuff is not perfect looking, it's probably better than what you're buying in the grocery store. So, just be aware and include fresh fruits and vegetables as much as you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's, a good diet, a great diet is still not going to give you enough vitamin D
Right.
if you're not going outside.
Right.
So, a lot of these nutrients are still needed to be supplemented
Right.
for some people, not everybody, but for some people. And, if you have not been eating a good diet for a long period of time and then you switch, which is great, fantastic. I encourage everybody
Right.
to do that.
You might detox
But
a little.
You may detox a little, but you also still may be really depleted, and at least for a short period of time may need to supplement so that you can replete what you're missing.
So a lot of people have no clue. I'll let you kind of give a really big overview of what is the difference between because we carry these products at the spa, and it's really important for people to understand what's the difference between a homeopathic product and a botanical or a nutritional, and when would you use them, and why is it important to see a practitioner to help you decide which one of those things. Some things can just be, we have a pharmacy, just vitamin C's,
Mhm.
B's, Xenoforce for colds and flu with some
Excellent.
zinc in there, and vitamin C is a mix.
Mhm.
And it's the number one selling cold and flu season supplement. So, but anyway, kind of give a little bit of background so that we can explain, how they would go about using those and where to find practitioners that might be able to help them.
So they are very different. And when I am teaching practitioners about them who may not have a full understanding of what the differences are, my biggest thing is botanicals, like herbal products and nutritional supplements, are very physically acting, where there is something physically there that the body is breaking down, it's absorbing, it's digesting it, it's absorbing it, it's integrating those particular, phytochemicals or, vitamins, minerals into a particular pathway that the body is utilizing. With homeopathics, you don't have any of that. It's an energetic remedy. And so what we mean by that is like, let's take things back to elementary school or middle school.
Let's do that.
Just
I
for a
like
minute.
that.
Where we were all taught that all matter was made up of atoms. Atoms are energetic particles that by some force have been bound together to create something solid.
Right.
And even though we cannot detect it, I can't touch it and feel it, I can't see it, they are still constantly vibrating. They're in motion and they are emitting a frequency. And so homeopathics are going to utilize that frequency. We actually, through the process of making the homeopathic remedy, it's believed that we are extracting or imbuing the liquid that the homeopathic is made in with that energy frequency. And so when we take it as a medicine, we are going to shift the energy frequency of the body into more natural healing rhythm or alignment so the body is better able to heal itself. So it's kind of this gentle nudge reminding the body.
That's what I would say, a whisper to the body as to what its job actually is.
Yeah.
I think that's just divine in nature for me, because we are self-healers.
Yes.
Our bodies, if you cut, you heal. If you get sick, even if you just get some good rest and drink a lot of water, sometimes your body can overcome it, right? Yeah. We are healers. And so that I just love homeopathics so much. I can't wait till the whole world understands, because I've watched it work with animals. I've watched it work with children that don't have any preconditioned thoughts relative to what's in the bottle or what's not in the bottle, or, and I've seen so many literal miracles happen over the course of the 21 years working with naturopaths and functional medicine doctors, utilizing these homeopathics. It's energy medicine.
Yeah.
And it's funny because on one level, nothing's there. But at another level, it makes a huge punch. And it's amazing.
It's quantum physics medicine. So it's
quantum
beyond
physics.
It's beyond its time. Homeopathics have been around for over 200 years, actually probably closer to 250, not longer. And there's a long history of use. Samuel Hahnemann is largely considered the father of homeopathy, and he used to have a school hospital in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And I think
That's
it's still
amazing.
called Hahnemann
You guys
University.
can Google that.
You can Google it. There's a lot of history and interesting information, as long as you don't go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole.
A good place to start.
Yeah.
Not a good place to start. But it is such an integral piece of our natural toolkit. And I love using all of them together. I have a lot of our Energetix line, of course, products on my shelf at home. They're my go-tos. They're usually the first things I reach for anytime I feel like I'm getting sick. Then I also have, my botanicals. I definitely keep a bottle of Xenophorus in my medicine cabinet. And these are just tools.
Yeah.
Right. And so, usually the first to go is a homeopathic, and then I'm adding in other things as I, grab them, honestly. And so, but yeah, they are a really unique, tool again that we can use. And they're great with kids, which is even
amazing with children. And because usually they're tasty enough, and you don't need to use a lot.
No.
And it's so helpful for them. And doesn't the FDA see homeopathics differently than they do botanicals, which is a very interesting thing to think about.
So they are classified as a drug by the FDA.
Homeopathics.
Okay. Yes. Where botanicals and nutritionals are not. So they are, the FDA monitors their quality and not the efficacy, no, but their production. So the manufacturing of the homeopathics to ensure their quality. And so there's a lot of tight regulations around homeopathics. So they are quite safe to take as well.
Yeah, that's great. And the neat thing about homeopathics, they don't really tend to interact with any other medication you're on because they're working at a quantum physics level and not at a organic level.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot over the last 20 some odd years that I've been around. I get a little bit of a degree in all areas when, just like you with just politics, with knowing what's happening in the world, you're in it.
Yeah.
So you really
learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
So you talked about, as your kids are coming home from school, you make sure that they wash their hands. What are some other things you do that are kind of preventative?
Just some tips for all the parents out there.
So again, I love making sure that Maybe include a little bit of elderberry, with them every day. Just give them a little, a little bit in the morning just to, go about their day, because it does help to boost the immune response, if you will. It can actually help prevent viral replication and inhibit viral binding at the
Oh, that's
cellular
good.
level.
I love hearing that.
And so there is some real like scientific evidence that
Right.
these actually are working. They're not, just placebo effect. It's not woo-woo. Elderberry can taste really good. It's
Yeah.
really effective. And so, that's one thing I love. Making sure that your kids are getting enough sleep is
Yes.
another big one. I mean, this goes for us all, really.
Yeah, I used to say sleep is the best medicine.
Sleep
that's
is
where
the
you
best
regenerate,
medicine.
you
It's
know?
where cellular regeneration happens for kiddos. It's where a
Yeah.
lot of their growth is taking place. For all of us, it's where a lot of hormonal activation kind of happens. It's where a lot of our hormones are starting to kind of kick in during the nighttime.
Wow.
And so, regardless of your kid's age or, if you're an adult, making sure you're getting enough sleep is huge. And
Right.
so all of my kids have always had very strict bedtimes, to the dismay of my teenager. He is at a point where he's like, why do I have to have a curfew? Like, why do I have to go to
They
bed?
need it almost more than
Yeah,
the
they
little
do.
ones. The older they get, the harder it is
Yeah,
to
it's
get them to
true.
go to
Yeah,
It's
bed.
true.
But then when you do get them to go to bed, they're mad at you.
Yeah.
But they
They don't
need
wake
it.
up either.
They don't.
They actually need
Sleeping
more
late.
sleep
Mhm.
than an adult. They or their younger siblings in the case
Yeah.
of my kids. And so it's really important that they get enough sleep
Yeah,
so
that's
that
a
they can
whole
be
other
healthy.
podcast talking
It
about
is.
the way the school systems kind of run their times almost cross the best interest of sometimes the ages of the children, because it works for the system works for the communities, but sometimes it's the timing of some of those school start times, et cetera, are horrendous
Yeah,
for
for the kids.
different age groups. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that we'll talk about that another time.
Yes,
but-
Another
yes,
day.
yes. So it's so interesting. If people want to know more, what do you think are the best resources? You said don't
Mhm.
go to Mr. Google. What do you think?
Don't
are
go
the
to
best
Mr.
resources?
Google. I mean, I think it serves a purpose, right? I think
Yes.
it opens the door. It can
Educate.
give you,
Yeah.
it can help educate you, yes. But I think the key is finding a practitioner in your area, that is either licensed or, has gone to an accredited, college or
Mhm.
university that can really help you kind of sort out what is best for you and your particular situation, what's best for your family. And then that way you're not just grasping at straws. What is good for one person may not be good for another person. And so you don't want to just take whatever. It really is vital that you
And
work with a practitioner
Some
who knows what they're
practitioners
doing.
can actually test you, which is called kinesiology muscle test. And
Mhm.
we've talked a little bit about that on the show, but they can actually test you for whether your body is reactive or not okay with that
Yep.
product. So not every product it works for everybody, or not everything is needed by everybody. So sometimes it's good to have someone one-on-one work with you, either an ND or functional medicine, chiropractor, someone that has been trained in a way that they can actually test you through muscle testing to see if you even need that.
Need it. Yeah.
Mhm. Your body
absolutely.
will, because it's brilliant,
Mhm.
will say, no, I don't want that.
And if you, your company Energetix is carried at the Spa on Green Street, but also in other places around
Licensed
the country, right?
practitioners.
Licensed practitioners all around the country. And look, I think it's definitely worth knowing these kinds of things, because I think that what we're seeing with a lot of healthcare, and we'll get into some of those topics in the future, is that it's gotten very impersonal.
Yeah.
And
15
you're
minutes
not-
is all you get.
yeah,
in the
you're not
doctor's
getting the
office.
good, the key, and I'm sure it's the same for you, is the key is a great medical history. The key is knowing the patient well, and that's getting harder and harder to do. So what I
True.
would say is just open your mind up. I'm more of a traditional medicine person, but I like to work things in as I learn more about them. And I think that we need to be open to that. And you can make big changes in your life.
Yeah.
We're so thankful that you were here today. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank
I'm so
you.
glad you guys
And-
had me on.
Yes.
Oh, me too.
Yes. And YouTube folks that are watching us out there, please like and subscribe. We want you to be a part of this community. We're going to be talking about all different kinds of topics. And then drop in the comments if you
Please.
think something about a show we've done or have a suggestion for a topic you'd like us to cover. We'll certainly do that.
We do read those. And we appreciate so much your time, listening to us, whether you're driving in the car, watching us on YouTube. We love talking to you about your health because your wellness deserves a little oversharing.